In 2013, Breaking Bad was coming to a close. Barack Obama had just been re-elected, and that Frozen song wasn't overplayed yet. Everything was great, except for the fact that I was a naive and fairly awkward homeschool child about to start college, so the very makings of life were, and I'm not exaggerating here, falling into a complete and utter paradigm shift. I just didn't know that yet. The new paradigm came in 3 parts. It started when I met Jericho Brown, a wondrously lively poet who had come to the campus for a poetry reading and a Q&A. Someone asked him a question that contained the words, "When I have kids," and Jericho just started laughing. "When I get married, when I have kids," he'd said. "Do you realize what kind of a commitment that is?" Laughing, basically, at the whole notion of go to school, get married, have kids, in that order, which had, until that very moment, been my future. So that was the first thing I learned in college. That norm is arbitrary. There's no law that says I have to marry and become a mother. It's just what's expected, because it's what my mother did, and her mother, and her mother. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just inherently not me. And Jericho made me realize, with much open-mouthed gaping, that that's okay. Part 2 came in November 2016. It may be a bit cliche at this point to say that the day after the presidential election was the worst day of my life, but the day started at 7:30 a.m. seeing a dead donkey on the side of the highway, so cliche be damned. The donkey, I maintain to this day, was a purposeful and malicious thing, a cruel metaphor for death to the Democratic Party. I got my first parking ticket 2 hours later, running to print out a paper that wasn't even due for another week. One of my professors lectured about the destructiveness of rape culture while wearing all black in mourning for the country. I cried in class, after class on the phone to my mom, and 4 other times, interspersed through the increasingly suffocating hours. I forgot to eat for 2 meals, which still astounds me, and on a cosmetic level, Georgia was neck-deep in a summer-long drought at the time, so the smoke of forest fires had given the sky an eerie yellow tint, the sun a red demon eye of Sauron. So yeah, it was the worst day of my life, as of yet. That's the second thing I learned in college. You don't always win, and sometimes you lose rather spectacularly. And the future, it turns out, isn't always as we plan it. Which leads me to the summer of 2017. I had Linkin Park concert tickets at a venue 5 hours away because I had passed up 2 tours already, hoping the band would come to Atlanta, but had given up. My dad and I booked a hotel, and he canceled work, both of us giddy with excitement for our first concert together, an event my father had been talking of cheerily since I was old enough to know what a concert was. The tickets were printed and pinned to my calendar, big circles and arrows pointing to the day, and then 3 weeks before the concert, Chester Bennington, the lead singer, committed suicide. The rest of the tour was canceled. We canceled our hotel reservations, and I took down the tickets I'd pinned up. I'd never lost someone I truly felt close to, and it was worse, because I'd put off the chance of seeing this person who suddenly was no longer a person. That's the third thing I learned, that regret is a neurotoxin, a horrible thing that seeps into pores and brain cells and memories and consumes everything, like metastasized cancer. In 2013, I was young. I was happy, but naively so. And it took a lot of life, me going through it, or it going through me, to realize I'd reached my 20s and had never lived. So I made a promise to myself, to do all of the things I'd regret not doing. So in September, when the Chester Bennington Remembrance concert was announced in LA, I didn't hesitate. I bought concert tickets. My dad and I booked a hotel in Hollywood. I flew for the first time, and our first concert together was one of legend. Later, when I had the chance to get up in front of a room and rap, I did. When the chance came to go to Massachusetts, to travel alone for the first time, I did. I joined the campus speech team, and when I had the opportunity to win a national speech championship, I not only did that, I did it twice. I became a taekwondo master with more than a few scars. I screamed my mind in all its explicit lyrics to a packed room and bowed to cheers of pride from people all thinking the same thing but too afraid to say it. I gave an official poetry reading with Adrian Mateka, stood where I'd watched Jericho read all those years ago, and lived one of my biggest dreams. I gave up spending every waking moment over perfect grades and just had fun. Caveat, I still got good grades. You still have to study. I saw movies with friends and stayed up late with them, tearing apart all the metaphor in us. I laughed my head off with the coolest people I'll ever meet, and at 25, I lived for the first time. And that's what I learned in college. That we can write our own futures, that life is not predictable nor forgiving, that nothing is permanent, and that, to quote Lewis Carroll, we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make. So do all of the things you'd regret not doing. And in the words of Ryan Tedder, I hope when that moment comes, you'll say, I swear I lived.